We're live. Foul territory. Let's have a day. Brock Holt in the house. Erik Kratz, who has an awesome hat. We'll get into that. Scotty Braun, AJ Pruzinski, both wearing our baseball is the best shirts because AJ just tries to match me every single day. No, but seriously, Sarah Langs is joining us soon. Can't wait to talk to her. Of course, this is a big month for ALS research awareness and raising money for that cause. And we're all with Sarah, all of baseball, the whole baseball family, in supporting her with her battle with ALS. So looking forward to talking to her. And the shirt looks good on you.
The shirt is great. It's not as soft as the Foul Territory shirts, but it's nice.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
It is. It's nice. Though I love the saying baseball is the best.
Most shirts suck in terms of quality. This one's pretty soft.
And it fits good. I have a hard time finding shirts that fit. So this one fits nice.
Make sure you let Sarah know.
They both fit y'all nice.
Well, Scott's arms are a little bit. That's why he likes it.
I have way Kratzy. I have way tighter shirts. This is a 5 out of 10.
Your Friday shirt looked like it was painted on. Them jeans is painted on.
By the way, Friday, as in tomorrow, we will be at Atlantic City at Borgata. Fraser Friday, Kratz, myself, can't wait. And unless I don't get there, just was told that there's some issues in Newark Airport.
Sucks to be you.
Stay tuned.
You're not allowed here, so you better find somewhere else.
Couldn't be worse than 2 weeks ago when I went up there and got in, I think, at 5 in the morning, and then whatever, up
Don't
2
say
hours.
That.
Oh, I feel so sorry for you.
No, it could get worse. I mean, I'll drive.
Totally get worse.
You're gonna drive?
I'll drive if I have to. I've done it before.
Could you make it?
No. It's like 20 hours.
You can leave now.
I can drive to a different airport and then figure it out. So
no, but it's not the airport here. It's the airport in Newark.
I could fly into JFK, Philadelphia, LaGuardia. We have options, so we'll see. Okay. Hey, Brock, your friend's coming on today.
Yeah, Kike. Big Kike. I love him. I've met him a couple of times, but I've loved him since he was with the Dodgers. His personality is spot on. Someone that you want to have in the clubhouse. I feel like to keep things loose, to keep things light. So we'll have a good time with him.
So Brock, ever since you left the Red Sox, do they have to have like a new Brock Holt? Is Kike like the new Brock Holt?
I guess. You know what? Whenever Kike signed with the Red Sox, Joe Kelly. I remember Joe Kelly saying that Kike is a more athletic Brock Holt. So I gave Joe Kelly some hell for that, but I mean I guess it's true, right? I guess it's true. But I won a World Series there, so Kike's still got some work to do.
I love player comps. I love that you are a poor man's Kike Hernandez.
Poor man. That's what Joe Kelly was trying to get across, but I'll take it. I'll take a poor man's Kike Hernandez.
Have you ever seen the Jordan tweet where he's like, "And I took that personally"?
Yeah.
That's what reminds me of this situation.
Yeah, If maybe if I was still playing, I'd take it personally. I'd use it as fuel my fire on the field and show everyone that Kike Hernandez is a poor man's Brock Holt. But I'm sitting here with you guys. So
and you have a cycle.
2
in the playoffs.
2.
Also, Kirk Herbstreit is joining us in about 20 minutes on the show. And you're like, Kirk Herbstreit, the college football and NFL analyst? Yes, he is a legit Reds super fan.
Yes.
And I think some shows, I don't want to be too critical, some shows don't do it right when they bring on like celebrities or people from outside of their sport that they're talking about. This to me is the perfect guest to have on in this spot. Reds are getting a ton of talk right now because they've been good and they've got prospects galore and a big dude coming up who could move their team leader to another position. Kirk watches the games consistently, tweets about them all the time, had a little back and forth with 2 of the Athletic writers, including our own Ken Rosenthal. Come on. And
we're talking college football. Don't even think we're not talking college. I mean,
we will.
Listen,
but
you don't watch college football, but I know Brock does and I do, so you're focused
that's
on
that's the real season, right? We're all just waiting for.
We're all just waiting for your internet bill to get paid.
Yeah. It froze at the perfect time because baseball is the season. And I will ask our fam in the YouTube chat, do you want to hear AJ's college football questions or do you want to hear the battle over positioning for the Reds?
We'll talk. We got plenty of time.
We'll talk both.
We'll get both in, but I mean, we're definitely bringing up. I mean, listen, I'm not having Kirk Herbstreit, probably the best college football guy going right now, and not asking him about college football.
Obviously.
I love college football. So the fact that, listen, there was a personal thing when this whole thing came out, and I said, oh, I'm going to try and get Kirk Herbstreit on this show. And he goes, like, great, we can talk ball. And I'm like, deep down inside, I'm thinking, oh, crap, we're talking college football here,
so
baby.
You just used this
I used
to get
you.
a college football person.
That's right.
on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
you used the show
to
get someone to talk college football.
Yeah, and baseball. He'll talk baseball.
I think that's what he wants to do. He's not coming on here going, hey, foul territory, those guys can talk college football. If I really want to elevate my brands in college football, I'm going to go on foul territory with Holt, Pierzynski, and Kratz and Braun to talk about the SEC.
No, we're not going to. I mean, we're not going to.
No, I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask him about the Rice Owls. What he thinks about the Rice Owls this year football program.
See,
the Iglesias, he's gone. Rice Owl.
Oh man,
This is why you give a starter like AJ a day off. We're gonna get extra energy from AJ on Thursdays.
Yes,
I said it earlier. He is super juiced. He's like a kid in a candy store. Like he probably has like 3 helmets. He's be like, hey Kirk, do you remember this game when Ohio State played Michigan and they were both 1-2? How great was that?
No, I'm not gonna bring up when Florida beat the shit out of Ohio State though in the national championship, probably 41-14.
Listen, you guys just zoomed in on Erik Kratz. I can't stop looking at that hat on your head. Oh my!
I'm trying so hard.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my God.
It is like,
and you make fun of me for tight shirts. How about tight hats?
It'll all make sense at the end of the show. So you gotta watch the end of the show when you do.
He looks
Kratz
like
hat.
Tom Hanks in League of Their Own with the hat that was on top of his head. That's what he looks like.
There's no crying in baseball.
All right, well, let's get into it for 15 minutes before we bring on Kirk Herbstreit. So let's charge the damn mound and start with Shohei Ohtani and the Angels, or Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani against the world. So when those two homer, they win. Obvious. Now, this team wins yesterday. They take the series from the Chicago White Sox, a team they should be hopefully making a deal with in about a month. And they start a big weekend series against the Houston Astros tonight. Ohtani's ridiculous. He hit 2 home runs. Obviously, he's pitching well. You've got a lot of the national baseball scene going. And there we go. The tweet from Foul Territory. He's got over 900 feet of home runs today. I also want to flip to the other tweet, and then I'll get into things just because Lance Lynn, friend of the show, gave up one of those home runs off of what pitch?
Sweeper.
To
Trout.
Last night on FT. If you follow us at Foul Territory TV, oh no, Lance, not the sweeper. Last month he told us that pitch can F off. And for some reason, it's still going.
Can we just I don't know who does the addition in, but it wasn't like 468 and 421, so it was like a little bit short of 900 feet.
You're not a roundup guy?
No, I'm an exact numbers guy. It's math. You can't just guess at math.
I
can't just say, well, I hit 280. I'm going to give myself 300 this year when I go to arbitration. Close enough.
Oh, was it not over 900?
No, that was like 4. I thought it was like a couple feet short. But semantics. No,
yeah.
Tomatoes.
We are not numbers nerds on this show. I think that's fair. I mean, look at us, Brock, on Friday. We go, oh, you think Pete Alonso was looking at Pitt Ushid's numbers? No, he just hit a stink bomb because he had to go to the bathroom.
That was awesome, by the way. That was awesome. Speaking of rounding up, when I was with the Brewers, we had a team meeting early on, meet the new guys. Logan Morrison stood up and gave us a spill about Tim Tebow playing in the same playing at the same level as him in AAA. Logan Morrison says, "Here I am, got close to 200 home runs in the show, and I'm playing next to Tim Tebow." And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, "Damn, 200 home runs is a lot. He's really got that many." And I looked it up, and he had like 140 or something. so he rounded up. So I was like, all right, so I have 23 careers, so I've got close to 150, right? So we gave him a hard time about that.
I've got 0, so I've got like 50.
There you go. Round up.
As soon as you said 200, because I remember following Logan, and also I lived down in Miami, I think, when his career started with the Marlins, and I was like, there's no way he hit 200.
Yeah, I was thinking, I'm like, yeah.
Well, that's what I was like. I was like, damn, like 200. That's pretty good. So I was like, I gotta check this out. And it was I forgot what the exact number was, but it was below 150. So he gave himself quite a few.
I don't know if this is a thing everywhere. I know it is in sports and definitely in the Northeast, in certain parts.
140.
That I was around. 140.
140.
140.
You know how you meet people where they're like, "Oh, I'm 6 feet," and they're like 5'8".
You are?
That's rounding up. No, I said you meet people sometimes that round up 3-4 inches on their height.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I grew up with that a lot. Right?
Well, it's because Jersey. You guys
I'm 6'4", and I'm like, "You're 5'11". Like, what?
I'm looking. I love when people go, "I'm 6'4", and I'm like, "Well, I actually am 6'4", and I'm looking down at you."
There's a lot of that. Anyway, thoughts on the Angels heading into a big-ass series against the Astros. And this team is 5-0 this year when both Trout and Ohtani homer, and they're 19-8 in those games, going back to last year, I guess. So 12 runs, put on a nice show heading into a big series. For me, actually, I think the Trout home run was more significant just because, have you looked at Trout's month? Not very Trout-like. And for a while, he was really struggling on timing, you could tell. I mean, he couldn't time up fastballs.
Yes.
So this is a good sign because you need Trout and Ohtani to be the top, two of the top, whatever, five players in the league for them to be
Except if you're a White Sox
team.
fan, you wanted them to get out of town before they all decided to hit.
Well, they're trying to beat the shit out of them so that they can trade for their players in a month.
No, they don't want them.
The Angels fans don't want him. There's smart people in their front office, or at least I know Perry Minishin's pretty good at his job, so he'll want.
I mean, they told you they don't want Tim Anderson.
I don't think they want anybody. They think that every single player on that team is incredible. But it's not about Angels Twitter. It's about Kratzy, this team being relevant at this point in the season. Your thoughts on the Angels? Are they, in my mind, they're mediocre. They're just like a very average team because you have two of the best, and then the supporting parts are average to subpar.
I think I'm going to take a Scott Braun quote. It was just the White Sox that they beat. Ohtani and Trout. They're not that good. This is huge for them. They gave up a few runs in the last inning. I think it's something that if I were to start building parlays for the month of June, I'm going to build parlays with Mike Trout and Kyle Schwarber in them because they're gonna go back to their career norms, and they need Trout. They 100% need Trout, just like they 100% need some of those Chicago White Sox. So when the White Sox are 15 to 16 games under 500 come the trade deadline, yeah, they're gonna get. I mean, why would you not want Tim Anderson? Why would you not? Really, to me, Liam Hendricks, Kendall Graveman, those guys at the back end of that bullpen. I think that would be huge for the Angels. And if you just make the rest of the team average around Trout and Ohtani, this is a playoff team.
Giolito's
a guy I could see definitely getting moved. Hendricks, I don't think will because he's got one more year. So they're going to – Graveman's possibility. Joe Kelly. Brock's boy Joe Kelly. He's definitely a guy.
Playoff hero.
Yeah, Joe Kelly's a guy.
Yeah, he's a poor man's Kendall Graveman.
Hey, he's been dealing.
Yeah, Joe, you stink.
Joe.
Tell him, can we clip that? Thank you.
You know that Joe. So Joe and I played together for like 3 days with the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
He got traded. I've told this story. He got traded. We're on the training table. I'm taking a nap. He's getting ready to pitch. He got traded. I knew before because he got traded for John Lackey. And we have the same agent, and my agent called me. He was like, "Hey, Lackey's coming there. Who are you getting traded for?" He's like, "I think Joe Kelly and some other people." And it hadn't come out yet. And I'm sitting on the table like, "Oh, gosh, he's right next to me. Like, what do I do here?" And then about 15 minutes later, it came across the ticker that he got traded before the Cardinals told him. So when I just was in Chicago a couple weeks ago, I see him. He's like, "Hey, if I'm getting traded, can you tell me so I know before? And can you tell me where I'm going this time?"
Why didn't you tell him?
Dude, that's not my place to tell him.
Whose place? The agent?
The manager.
It would have been the ultimate flex to wake him up from his nap.
No, I was the one napping.
Oh, you were napping.
He was getting ready for the game.
It would have been such a flex to be like, "Yo,
Joe, hey, man.
Go out there. You're traded."
No, dude, it was that. No,
You're gone.
I'd been on the team for like 3 days. I couldn't.
Yeah, but you're a vet.
Yeah, but still, man, it wasn't my place. Then they got mad because they found out on the ticker instead of like from the team. Alan
AJ,
Craig,
how many days really was it that you were teammates with them? Because I have a story about that.
Seriously, like 3 days. It was like 3 days because I went to Chicago and I was there 2 days, and then we flew to San Diego, had an off day, and it was like the first day. So it was like 3 days.
Because I got traded to the Red Sox for 2 days plus a spread, is what I said. The third day I ate spread, worked out, and then they fired me after the game. And Joe Kelly and I were teammates, and Joe got optioned down the same day. So I was just like, whatever. Like I was only filling in for Blake Swihart until his toe felt better, and then they shipped me out, and Joe got shipped out. He was way more devastated than me. I was just like, going home. But so we have that in common. But I think you were probably teammates longer. But I definitely ate spread that morning. It was a day game.
How was the spread?
Oh, tremendous breakfast. Red Sox Clubhouse had tremendous breakfast.
We had good breakfast, good waffles.
Man,
I remember good waffles.
Waffle and an omelet. Oof.
You want to talk about good breakfast? The home side on Texas, the home Texas side is as good as it gets.
True.
I mean, you walk in there, they have Texas-shaped waffles. It's unbelievable. Donuts, omelets, like I mean, anything that you can possibly have for breakfast, you can eat there. It's ridiculous.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I was just in Houston. I had a Texas-shaped waffle.
There you
waffle
go.
Maker. You flip it over, you make it in the hotel. Texas-shaped waffle.
Yeah, you don't have to make them yourself.
There's a hotel.
Yeah, well,
you were in the show.
You know what the Red Sox had, Brock? They had the little tuna balls the guy would make.
Yes.
It was like balls of rice and they had tuna fish. Oh, they were so dang good. You could eat like 100.
Well, the whole plan is, correct me if I'm wrong, you get guys to eat their faces off and get so
This is the home side, though.
Yeah, this is home side.
I know, but he was saying on the roadside for breakfast.
No, home side.
No,
home side. Yeah, home side. Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. I would want to eat too much, and then I wouldn't want to play.
Yeah, you don't want to go out.
Did you get food comas?
Want to stay in, eat some bacon, get you some donuts.
Take a nap.
Get a couple Texas-shaped waffles with some peanut butter syrup. Oh, man.
Then take a greenie and go out and play.
Makes me want to play. Makes me want to play again.
Those were before. Those were before. Bro.
Just for the food.
Next up, the Arizona Diamondbacks are sizzling right now. They are going after the Dodgers right now. The Giants are playing pretty good ball too. And then the only thing that scares you if you're a Padres fan is not that the Padres are off to a slow start, but that the rest of the division is flying. I mean, even Colorado has not played poorly yet, or as poorly as anticipated. But Arizona blanked them yesterday with Tommy Henry, who is not one of their higher level starters. Like obviously Gallen's having a Cy Young level season. Here's Sarah Langs with the tweet. She'll join us a little bit later. D-backs 10 games above 500 for the first time since 76 and 66 on September 8th, 2018. Here's my thing that I've thought about, because Kratzy, you know this phrase too, right? Pump the brakes for me on certain teams. The two teams that I'm not pumping the brakes are, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Diamondbacks and Rangers, I think, are going to be in it. I'm not saying they're winning divisions. I'm not even saying they're making playoffs, but they're real to me. We're not going to look up and they're going to be like, oh, they finished 500 or below 500, where a lot of other teams with fast starts, I think, if they're not supposed to be good, they're not going to be good.
Easiest thing of the year, easiest pick for the year was the win total for the Diamondbacks for me. It was like 75 or something. I think we all were like over. Oh, we were all like way over that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch this team, I don't know how much you guys have actually watched it. They are
we watch games.
Well, I'm just checking because you're on late. You might be at the rave. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The Diamondbacks are so fun to watch.
So fun.
They just, if you listen, I watched the game last night, and Bob Brenly and Steve Berthume, I think, are their announcers. They're like, and the track meet has started. And they just start freaking and the poor catcher for the Rockies is like, screw this, dude. I ain't even throwing it anymore. Because they were literally standing on second. The guy was Dilson Lamet was
Nelson Lamet.
Lamet was the pitcher. He was balking because they're running. He didn't know what to do. He'd already stepped off twice. He's like, oh, no, I can't disengage again. I mean, they put pressure, like legitimate. This is what the new rules are made for. And they are the one team that is specifically almost built for the new rules with Carroll and Rojas and Gurriel and all these dudes are just McCarthy.
Yeah.
He was stealing bases last night. I mean, all these dudes, they just get on base and it's just like, do, 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 do. I mean, it is a track meet. It is awesome to watch.
Every single is an RBI. It's just, you talk about sustainability. The team is so freaking young, besides Christian Walker, who's just going to bang the ball off his face on the scoreboard in center field. Evan Longoria, who they just give him days off when, it's not a good matchup for him. Everybody else, I guess Nick Ahmed is kind of, he's getting up there in age. But compared to the rest of the team, they're young. They just go out there and it is a track meet. And it's not just the stolen bases. It's base running, first to third. You see the outfielders on the other teams, like they're coming up to try to throw. And it's just, I don't think they're ever going to really bludgeon teams to death, but they're just suffocating. They just run the bases. And even in the outfield, I like watching the outfielders for the Diamondbacks run and get the ball. They cut the ball off better than any team that I've seen because that speed is just ridiculous. So other teams can't get those extra bases that they're taking from them.
And I feel like Torey Lovullo leading the charge there is key as well. Like he's the perfect guy to have with that young team, those young players. Like I remember when I got traded over to the Red Sox, being a young guy, he was a guy that would pull me aside and he made me feel comfortable being the bench coach there. He's one of my favorite people I've ever met in the game. And I think for him to be the manager for some of these young guys coming up, and these guys are expected to play and play well, I feel like he is perfect for that team to make those guys come up, feel comfortable, and be able to play like they're capable of playing.
Gabriel Moreno hitting close to 300. I know there's not a ton of power there yet, but that's looking like a great
Nick
trade.
Ahmed has kind of almost lost his job, hasn't he, a little bit? Because Perdomo, isn't it Perdomo? Has been the guy that's been playing a lot of shortstop for him.
Perdomo's good.
He's a good player.
Hard to take a Gold Glove out of there, though.
I understand.
Perdomo's legit.
No, listen. Nick Ahmed is one of the best defensive players in baseball. So, but yeah, I mean, I think he's kind of lost some playing time because of Perdomo. Christian Walker's Gold Glove at first base. I mean, they can do it.
They smacked on that trade, though. I know Varsho's a gamer. I would say hit tool probably is the weaker spot for him. He plays good D, runs around, all that. But they pick up a catcher for a while now. I mean, Gabriel Moreno's a starting catcher. You can see it. And Lourdes Gurriel is OPS above 900, OPS plus 100s league average, 146.
You know the best part about him? He has purple hair.
Yeah.
Like purple hair.
That's something you can rally around.
Yeah. Like, I'm talking purple hair.
Mm-hmm.
Not even like kind of purple. It's deep purple.
No, you're right. This team, it's funny to me is Mike Hazen, who runs the front office there before the season. I remember I was looking up some of the quotes from him and about how they, create chaos. We got to have fake breaks and run and go crazy and all of that. And one of the lines he gave was, before the season started, probably going to see more small ball from us than most teams because we're not going to be able to go slug for slug with most teams. Cool. They knew who they were.
Your game.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, especially in that division, right? You're going against the Dodgers. You're going against the Padres. Like those teams slug, but Diamondbacks are playing baseball. And it's fun to watch.
What's funny is the other team you mentioned was Texas. Now those boys slug.
Yeah,
those boys smash the baseball. So it's funny that two teams coming out like different ways, but who do you think is going to finish higher? Not better record because it's American League, National League. Who's going to finish higher in their respective league?
Texas, as long as their pitching holds up.
Yeah. Well, and Texas's pitching right now
He's been great.
It's been great without
DeGrom.
Without
Dane
DeGrom.
Dunning. Dane Dunning has been a stud for them.
Nate has been unhittable. Texas did the right. They've got a lot of young guys who've come up together, but they added pieces. CY's done a great job of adding pieces that, obviously you get a DeGrom. Hopefully he's healthy and can pitch. Then you add Seager, Simeon up the middle. I mean, they've got a good thing going right there. Obviously you hire Bochy, experienced manager. And that they need to put a good team on the field with that ballpark and how nice that place is. So I like Texas this year. I like watching them. Nathaniel Lowe's, coming into his own with the Silver Slugger last year, playing well again this year. Adolis Garcia, just hitting homers, driving in runs. So it's a fun team to watch. I like the Rangers too.
Don't forget Josh Young.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's got to be. Yeah, he's got to be up there for Rookie of the Year. He's banging. But the one thing about the Rangers, Brock, they need bullpen help, and Chris Young, their GM, will go get it.
Mm-hmm. That's the easiest thing to acquire.
True, but he's gonna. Do they have the players to get what they really need? But
yes,
they need bullpen help.
They have prospects.
I think they'll tell you that we need bullpen help because
they do. They have a pretty strong farm system, so I think they've got some prospects where they.
The bullpen doesn't take. Bullpen doesn't take.
You're not going to give up. Yeah, you're not going to give up your top.
That's why it's easy.
Yeah. They need a legitimate closer guy though for me because they've tried 5 different guys and no one's really worked yet.
Chapman.
Oh, okay. We're trading Chapman.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm serious. He's the guy. He's the choice.
Well, he's one of them. He's the easiest one to point to right now because there's a 100% chance he's getting traded. 100. Not even unless he
What
gets
about
hurt.
Kendall Graveman?
Yeah, that's a good one.
He
can close. Absolutely. There's 3 or 4 closer names. I know one that you can't trade for anymore. Alexis Diaz. He was talked about a lot before the season started. I don't think they're trading him because they're playing ball. Yeah,
because they're playing really well.
He's not closing for him though, is he?
But he could.
Who's the dude? The different dude came in was throwing fuel last night.
Buck Farmer.
He was throwing cheese last night.
He's throwing mid to upper 90s.
With his slider was like this. I don't know. We're not calling it a sweeper, but it was more like a cutter slider.
He's gotten really good.
It was like
he was like a 6 starter on the Tigers.
Oh, Farmer closed last night. I watched into that game.
I think they play it more based on where they're at in the lineup. Is what I was watching because the other night Diaz came in the 8th inning when it was nut cutting time, and he had to face the meat of the order and success.
Okay. Yeah, he's got 13.
And he throws. Also, he's just heavier his brother, by the way, heavier built of his brother.
Mm-hmm.
his motion and everything. He even looks.
They look the same.
They look the same. The motion, everything. He's just bigger. He's just a heavier, bigger built dude. I'm not calling him fat. So don't anybody say I called him fat. I'm just saying he's just a bigger version.
He's a hungrier or less hungry version of Edwin.
Well, and he's the primary guy. There's other guys that have racked up a saber too, like Buck and Ian Jabot. But
yeah, I watched the game last night, and with Buck Farmer, dude, that was some nasty shit he was throwing.
Well, the reason I bring them up, and the one other thing I want to say about Texas is credit to them for spending money. They got Semien, they got Seager. Those dudes are legit. DeGrom, Evaldi, yeah. Spending money, buying players, not always working, but definitely helpful. So
you have to do it.
Yes, you got to do it.
And Jonah Heim is having a great year for him also, the catcher.
It's a good ball club.
Throw them in there.
So back to the Reds, and let's bring on our first guest of the day on FT Live, the college football and NFL analyst for many years, the legend Kirk Herbstreit joins us right now. But most importantly, Kirk, the Reds super fan joining us right now. And we've talked more about this team in the last couple of weeks than I think all national media outlets have covered in the last few years. So how you doing?
I'm great, man. Love to hop on with you guys. I watch you guys from time to time. I'm a big baseball guy, and I've been a suffering Reds fan. I say suffering Reds fan because the last 10 years have been brutal, but I still follow them. I'm one of these guys that gets excited when pitchers and catchers show up. Just always have been. Grew up with it, in Cincinnati area with a big red machine, and if that's what you're introduced to baseball, you're kind of hooked as a fan. So yeah, I've been following them for a long time.
Kirk, as much money as you're making between the NFL and game day, why don't you just buy them from Castellini, and then we can then we go, right? As much as you're making, let's just buy them, and then we'll have a good team.
You're gonna GM?
Yeah, I hear
GM manager, whatever he needs.
Yeah, I'd like to think one day I could somehow get maybe a small little share. That'd be a great dream. But man, I love going down there. I love to get your guys' take on MLB, just kind of where it is from when you were in it, AJ, to now. It just seems like, there wasn't such a discrepancy between the big markets and the small markets. And I know Tampa's figured it out, but it just seems like it's really the deck often is stacked against these smaller markets when it comes to, you just look at the salaries and who's making all the money and the way the Reds are structured this year. I'm amazed they're even competing. If you really break down Joey Votto and the amount of money he's making. I forget what King Griffey Jr. He's making some money. I think Will Myers might be the second active guy on the roster as far as salary. And it's been a lot about the youth and what's still coming, in the minor leagues. So as much as this organization gets rips and the ownership, they do deserve some credit for some of these young players that they've been able to bring in.
Who's the guy? De La Cruz, obviously, is the guy you're most excited about. Every Reds fan. But if you look at their pitching, Ashcraft, Lodolo, we talked about Buck Farmer, Diaz, and then some of the other guys that are there, India, right? Stevenson, the catcher, is going to be a good player.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's
Steer.
I
like. And Encarnacion Strand can slug.
What's that?
Encarnacion Strand, who's another big minor league bat. He's going to be their DH of the future, I think.
Yeah, for sure. But you're right. I think, when things broke this year, you break camp. This is one of those cities where, they've lost a lot of their fan base compared to where it was, obviously, when they were winning a lot of games. But they still have people like me who are always hopeful. You're always thinking, okay, well, if this can happen and this can happen, maybe they can be competitive. Because let's face it, I mean, with the 3 teams now in the wild card, if you're just around 500, you're at least in the mix. And so that's the mindset of a Reds fan, is if they can just hover around 500 and take some body blows and just kind of hang around, that would be a success. The problem is, with the exception of the COVID year, and I think maybe the year right after COVID, the Reds have almost been out of it at the end of April. It's just been a disaster. And that's why, the other day I don't get into a lot of arguments on Twitter, but I just read, that article, and it just kind of, here's a team that's finally showing a pulse and showing a little bit of grit, which is really what they need to compete with these bigger markets. And I'm just picturing Jonathan India at his locker, and all of a sudden he gets asked questions about what are they going to do when they bring Elly De La Cruz up, and they're going to end up having to move you. And it just kind of infuriated me that we're contemplating that when this team is finally playing competitive baseball, and it looks like they're almost starting to kind of gel. And this is just a couple weeks after the Yankees came through Cincinnati and just went like that, get out of the way here in Cincinnati, and on the back end of that, they're starting to kind of almost form an identity. And I think India is right in the middle of that, is really kind of the leader of this team.
So what would you do? I know you explained it a little bit on Twitter. So you take Elly, you put him in the outfield.
I'd put him at third. I'd put him in the outfield. There's got to be room for all these guys, right? I mean, you're talking about a team that didn't have anybody other than Joey Votto for a number of years, and all of a sudden you get a guy like Spencer Steer, who's a third base guy and can really play around, and they got him over at first right now because of Votto. And I don't know if that's his future or not. They moved Nick Senzel, who came up as an infielder. They moved him to the outfield. Now they move him back to third base because of some of these injuries that they've been dealing with. I don't know Elly De La Cruz's history. I don't know if he's a third baseman, if he could play third. The kid, Matt McCain from UCLA, this kid is, you talk about bringing some juice into the lineup and just the way he plays the game. It's hard to imagine him not being there. And I don't know anything about Elly De La Cruz other than what you read and the exit velocity and hitting 465-foot home runs. I mean, it all sounds great. But again, I'm big on chemistry, and India is kind of driving the bus right now. And I wherever you're going to put him, he's got to be on the team. Like, you imagine, you guys have been on team sports your whole life. You imagine taking like the alpha of a clubhouse out because the potential of a rookie, it just, that doesn't add up to me at all.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, you got to stick with your guys, right? And it's just, for me, moving a young guy around, if he's not used to doing it, it's not the easiest thing to do. I was fortunate to be able to do it, but I had to do it. I wasn't the top prospect. I wasn't leading the world in exit velos like this kid is, but it's not an easy thing to do. And I feel like as a young guy coming up, they need to be comfortable when they get to the big leagues, and they need to play somewhere where they feel comfortable. And if they're playing a position where their head's spinning, it's going to affect every part of their game. I I think this kid is athletic enough to be able to move. It's just a hard thing to do to ask a young kid to do it. And I did it because I had to, right? I mean, if I wanted to be in the big leagues and stick, I had to. I said yes to
No,
everything.
I respect that. And I respect all your guys' opinions just because you've lived it. I'm just a guy who follows it and loves it. But I think what you're bringing up under a normal set of circumstances makes a lot of sense to me. And this kid, he might be the number one prospect in all of MLB, not just for the Reds. My question is for you guys, when you have a team, and I don't know how much you guys watch the Reds, but I mean, literally, you take 3 from the Cubs. They got their first 2. They've won 5 in a row, 6 of 7. We haven't said things like that for the Reds in a long time. And you're starting to, like I said, see like a team beginning to believe in themselves. And if you look how they win games, inevitably they're down 4-2 in the 6th. And they come back and win games. And you guys know when you do that with a young team that's told they suck, what that does as far as us against the world mentality. So my point is, like, just because this guy has ridiculous potential, are you worried more about him and moving him to third base or moving him potentially because you want to get him up there? And look at what you're putting him on, a team that's finally starting to form a little bit of chemistry and a us against the world mentality. I think I'm more worried about what's going on with the big league organization than this rookie that has ridiculous, they're talking like Eric Davis, ridiculous potential and what he can be.
I think you hit it. I think you hit it exactly right. I think you have a team that's putting your players together and you have this this weird chemistry that's really coming together and positively with young players within the constraints of their payroll. Yeah. My question to you, would you, whatever it is, Kirk Herbstreit's going to make the lineup, and you're going to be like, all right, these are our guys. Would you be willing to risk making the playoffs this year? Maybe in the future you don't make it as many years. Do you want the playoffs this year, or would you rather have 3 of the next 4 years after this? Because, and I say that because sometimes when you move rookies around, I know Nick Senzel's had a lot of injuries that he's dealt with. I saw his debut, and he was the next coming. It was going to be the next, and we can start naming other guys. Nick Senzel's kind of bounced around. Now he's in left field. So there is a level of you want the most out of Elly De La Cruz. If we're just talking about Elly De La Cruz, and so would you be willing to risk that for this year? Elly, go to left field. It's okay, because I don't think David Bell's going to be a guy that's going to be like, it's okay, Elly. He's just going to be like, hey, dude, we're winning. Come in and help us win.
Yeah, I guess my initial response to like what the answer is, how when you just tweet, you're running out of room, you don't even know what, you're just like, move him to the outfield, whatever. I'm not like dead set on moving to the outfield. I mean, I leave that to guys like you who played the game and know the game. But as you're giving these scenarios, Nick Senzel has become really more of an outfielder. I think he's playing third more out of necessity than, even though that was his more natural position when he came up. You could probably move him into the outfield, move him back out there and put Elly De La Cruz at third base. This sounds crazy, but a guy like this kid, Jake Friedel, who's really just become, I don't know if you guys know much about him or watch him at all. I don't even know I don't know what his payroll is. This guy is become like an Energizer bunny. And with him healthy at the leadoff spot, India's been that leadoff hitter since last year. They put Friedel at the top as a lefty against right-handed pitchers. McLean it's at second, and India goes down to third. I mean, that's become their really best lineup because those first 2 guys can get on base and they can actually run, which the Reds haven't had in forever, guys that can move around. So I would rather, instead of giving up on this year or next year, I would try to just find the right combination. And if there's a delicate approach to De La Cruz, put him at third. I just don't. My whole point in all this is I'm a big believer in team sports, on chemistry and leaders. And in my opinion, the Reds haven't had a guy in that clubhouse. They've had some good people, but really Scott Rowland, I felt like on the back end of Griffey Jr. and Adam Dunn was the first true, this is how you're a professional.
Kurt,
this is how you do it.
Kurt, sorry, you just said Adam Dunn?
Why can't
on
you
the
say
back end. On the back
I'm
end.
just laughing because I played with Adam Dunn, and I love Adam, but I wouldn't put him at the level of Griffey and those guys. I love Adam,
but Adam was a beast.
He's one of my favorite dudes of all time, but I'm not putting him at Griffey and Scott Rowland.
Dude, no, I'm saying like when Dunn and Griffey were there, there was a talented lineup, and Dunn's, he's hitting home runs type of thing or striking out, but it was when Scott Rowland came in, just as an observer, it was like, holy shit. It's like there's a sheriff in town. And it just, with a young team, Jay Bruce and young guys around him, it was almost like they learned how to be professionals with Scott Rowland came to town. You guys know Scott Rowland better than me. Maybe I'm completely missing it, but it just felt like at that stage of his career, when he came to Cincinnati, everybody like got in line and did what they were supposed to do. And it just feels like India is the first guy since Rowland that people are responding to his style of leadership. And he's like, we might not be the most talented guy. He said this in spring training, but we're going to get that extra base. We're going to do the little things that people who love baseball do. And now 2 months in, he's been the catalyst to that. So my point is, like, just because you have this rookie who's a freak, I just don't know if you address India as the guy that's the odd man out because you have this a lot of young and up and coming talented people. I don't think you have to make a choice right now. I think you can find a way to mix and match the lineups and still keep them happy. But taking Jonathan India out of that lineup or moving him as a guy who follows this team, I think it would be a disaster at this point.
How does it feel to be a Reds fan and be talking about a plethora of talent?
It's bizarre, right? Now, the next question, of course, is, here's the cynic. You're a cynic when you're a Reds fan. They're not going to be able to hold on to any of these guys, right? I mean, that's the long-term worry is they bring up these guys. And not to mention they have some young pitching that's also coming up. The ownership, by the way, has just been tattooed in this market. A lot of people have been frustrated with him, not just because of the spending, but the owner's son, Phil Castellini, made some comments last year at opening day that just kind of smacked the fans across the face that were frustrated by the lack of spending. It was opening day, and he made a comment about, what are you going to do? Go find another team. And, you're just basically, he was saying, you're lucky we're not taking this team and leaving this city. And I think a lot of people got very offended by that. So the relationship between ownership and the fans is not great. And now that they're winning, to answer your question, I would have never thought that the Reds, after the way they looked early in the year, would be 3 games out of first place and on the verge of potentially going to Fenway and sweeping the Red Sox and finishing the 6-game road trip against the Cubs and the Red Sox. And then they got the Brewers coming up with a 4-game series this weekend. So, yeah, it's cool a guy that loves the game, it's fun to have a team that's competitive right now.
I'll give you hope. Because if they do move India, I'm not saying they're going to, if they do move him, the Royals back in, I think it was 12 or 13, moved Alex Gordon from third base to left field. He was young. He was kind of in the same spot as India, did real well, moved to left field, learned the position, was still the leader of the team. And then we went and got 2 rings, a second place and a first place.
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
It really looks a lot like that. So I think you should be really excited. Maybe not this year, but in the coming years.
Hey, man, what's exciting to me is just to talk relevant baseball as you get into June and July. That's all you can ask for is just to follow a team that because summers get really long. As a football guy, summers are a disaster when your team is like 15 games out of first and it's like May 12th. It's like, oh man, this is a long summer.
So here's my thing. So I have 2 thoughts on this. One is, you're right, on the ownership front. I mean, it almost made it sound like nobody else could run a team like we are. We're just saving this poor franchise that's bottom 5 in payroll. So I'm with you there. I don't think they necessarily should be. I mean, I can never take when an owner is crying poor, sell the team if you really feel that way. There are plenty of suitors, including some people that we're talking about sitting on this show right now. AJ wants to buy the team with you right now.
The guy in the big box right now. the guy with the power.
here's my other thing with India that I thought was interesting when they asked him about it the other day, right? And you were saying, like, it sucks that he even has to address this right now because the rookie's not up yet, and this is the heart and soul of the franchise right now. He said, quote, "It's part of the game. There are always guys behind you, always. If I just play well, it won't matter. That's all I can do, play my best and make the decision tough for them." What I thought was interesting there, Brock, is he didn't say, like, I'll do whatever it takes if I got to play somewhere else. He actually kind of made it known on Saturday to reporters he wants to stay at one position, which often happens. So that's where I could see a little bit of a problem behind the scenes. Not that if he comes up and they say, hey, dude, you got to play the outfield, like he's going to say no. But he also doesn't have the world's strongest arm. Spencer Steers played out there and has a much stronger arm. So there could be defensive issues, and this team's trying to be a better defensive ball club.
Well, I'm with Kirk. I'm not moving India unless he does something to where he deserves to be moved. Like if he's not playing, if he doesn't lose the job, I'm keeping him there because he's like I want my veterans to be like Kirk said. That's a big part of a winning team, of a winning organization, is having those guys where young guys can come up and you need to take care of your veteran guys. You need to take care of your rookies too. But if India doesn't lose the job, do something to lose the job, he's my second baseman, and we figure out what we do with the kid. But it's a hard. That's why I'm sitting here talking about it, and I'm not running a team, right? Like it's not an easy thing to do, but it's a cool thing for Reds fans and Reds people to having to be talking about something like this.
I'm just shocked that we're at June 1st, and it's been a while since. You know, I love all sports. You know, I enjoy it all, and I love team sports, and I love the intangibles that go into team sports. You know, and I just think that when you get a team that, as you guys know, they start to kind of believe, and you guys tell me that played, but it just seems like such a mental sport and such a daily grind. I have so much respect for what this sport is and the mental challenges of it. And when you get a team that starts to kind of like, holy shit, we can do this a little bit. I just feel like you want to ride that as far and as long as you can. And, you know, a week from now, they may lose 7 in a row and here we go, you know, kind of thing, who knows? But for now, you got a team that's taking the field. I'm sure the music sounds a little bit better, and you know, in pregame and postgame, and food tastes a little bit better. They're kind of in that world right now. And if it were me, I'd be really, really careful with the mojo of a team that's starting to believe, especially when they were counted out from, you know, the beginning of spring training.
Hey, listen, as a guy that did it for a long time, Kirk, I want you to know how we got through it? I counted down the days till college football. Literally, I would sit there and say, all right, we got 62 days till I can watch college football on Thursday night or Saturday or whatever.
Yeah.
So we're not going to – I can't have you on the show and not talk college. I love college football. So I have to – I'm going to nerd out here for a second. I'm going to fanboy out. And first thing I'm going to start with, because there is some tie-ins here I want to ask your honest opinion about the new playoff and the NIL stuff, because I think it's bad. But playing out in college baseball, my first thing is please tell me, I'm a Florida fan, please tell me Georgia's not going to win another championship, and what team from the SEC is going to win it this year? Not Georgia.
It seems like every year. I would lean towards Alabama. Anytime Alabama comes up short, usually that next year, if you're out in Vegas, that next year they're a team. They tend to, if you look at history since Saban's been there, they either win it or they come close, and the next year they're right in the mix. So I think them and LSU both have a chance to be really, really good coming out of the West. I think Kirby's basically taken the blueprint from Tuscaloosa, moved it back to his alma mater. Now, I think they're going to replace 5 stars with new 5 stars, but I think the leadership that they've lost over the last couple of years and winning those national titles will be tough, to replace. Stetson Bennett's playmaking ability. I mean, there's another guy. You talk about intangibles, what he brought to the table. I'm worried a little bit about Florida. I mean, I know you're a Gator. I did their bowl game, and with Pat McAfee, and we were excited to do it. I know it's a kind of a second or third tier bowl out in Vegas, but it was just more of like the energy around that team with a new head coach. You can maybe count on one hand how many guys were like playing with some respect and like trying to, regardless of what was at stake, just play the game the way it's supposed to be played. So he's got his hands full there, and you always have so much. It's an embarrassment of riches as far as the resources, the high school talent that they have down there. So we could get it going pretty quickly, but he's going to need to find the right guys that buy into that Florida Gator tradition to dig them out of where they've been. And as you know, and that's tough to do in the SEC. And so hopefully they can start to show some signs of getting it going. And then maybe next year and the year after, get back to being who they're supposed to be.
Thanks for breaking my heart. I really just thanks. Hey, no. So okay, enough of that. I know it's always the same. It's like the same 4 teams every year. Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia.
Tell me what was your Gator football team? Right, remind me of the team that when you were there, the 3 years.
So I didn't go to college. I've been a Florida fan since I grew up. So I've been. I was there. I was at Spurrier's first game. I've had season tickets for 20 years now. Like I've Tebow, the whole Urban Meyer, Spurrier. When I grew up, it was Spurrier, right? So Spurrier was the man. My alias on the road was Steve Spurrier for years.
Rex Grossman.
How about Spurrier? Spurrier would go in and be like, Quezzy, how much do we want to put up on Kentucky this week at like a Tuesday practice? I mean, those were the glory days.
Oh, yeah. That's when it was different. That's when it was fun to be a Gator fan. Now I got to listen to you tell me why Georgia's going to win all the time. But my thing is the NIL. And I know, listen, guys were getting paid. I know. You know it. I know. Everyone knows they were getting paid. Now it's legal to pay them. In baseball, college baseball, it's kind of the same thing. Like you look at the LSUs, you look at certain teams, they pay more and they're better than everybody else, and they get all these transfers. In college football, it's kind of seeing the same way as playing out, right? The halves are Alabamas and the Georgias. They're like, oh, you want to transfer to Georgia? Sure. Well, not only will we give you a starting position, we'll pay you whatever the dollar amount is. So who is the highest paid player this year? Caleb Williams, the USC? Probably. Yeah. And then what can we do about it to balance it out? Because in baseball, it's killing the mid-majors. It's killing the non-Power 5 guys that have good teams traditionally, a Coastal Carolina, a Mercer, teams like that, because they get these guys out of high school. They might not be on the radar of these teams. They go and have a good year. Paul Skeens at LSU this year is going to be a top 5 pick. Was that Air Force, right? He transferred in. Tommy White, NC State, goes to LSU for money. How do we balance this out, not only in baseball, but in college football, to make it to where everyone can compete? Because at the end of the day, it's the same 4 or 6 teams every year that are in it.
Yeah, it's a concern. And I think all of us understand, if you go back to what NIL was built and designed to do, name, image, and likeness, right? I think everybody for years with college athletics was like, wait a second, how can a starting quarterback in Florida like a Tim Tebow not go out and benefit from being Tim Tebow? It just didn't make a lot of sense to us. And so they came up with this rule where you can now benefit from being a Tim Tebow. You imagine what he would have done when he was in school. So that's what the idea of it was. And now you've got collectives. Now you've got businessmen in all these communities and all these states that have different NIL laws in every state. There's nobody governing it. The NCAA has no power over it. So what's happening out at USC versus what's happening at Texas or LSU or Florida or Ohio State or Michigan, everybody has different rules within their state. The NCAA, after the Supreme Court smacked them around, said, don't ever, come back to our quarters or we'll really get after you. They kind of went like this, we're out. So now you have basically the conference commissioners who all have their own agendas based on their constituents, their presidents and ADs and coaches and fans. So what Greg Sankey and the SEC are doing, they're not worried about what the Pac-12 is doing or the Big Ten. He's worried about his map, his fan base, right? And so how do we move forward when we don't have one person like a Roger Goodell or Rob Mandrin or somebody polling for college athletics? We have a bunch of different people with their own agendas. So I don't know how we're ever going to come to an answer on this unless the federal government, which they have obviously more than they can handle already, So I really don't think I could sit here and tell you this is what's going to happen. I don't think anybody knows. But to bribe a high school player to come to your school and pay him X amount of dollars when he hasn't stepped foot on the campus or played a game is asinine to me. To take a guy at Air Force or some small mid-major and out-duel whoever else is trying to recruit him away from that school is not what NIL was about. So it's a disaster right now in intercollegiate athletics. And the only answer to me is to pull out of the NCAA, somehow create, kind of like MLB and NFL does, create a players rep or a players organization. I don't know if it's a union, but something that reps the players, and then find the conference commissioners decide on one leader, and then they negotiate and they come to terms on NIL, and they come to terms on recruiting, and they come to terms on what's a rule and what's not a rule, and then they enforce those rules, and they break away from the NCAA, and you don't have to worry about antitrust laws. You know what I mean? I think that's the only thing you can do to take the power back, because right now there are no rules, there's nobody in charge. So coaches and these collectives are doing anything and everything to gain an advantage. And as you said, it's going to who has the most money. And that's not what sports are all about. I'm all for players getting paid, but I'm all for players getting paid when they make a name for themselves and they can earn that money based on how they're performing on the field or on the basketball court or whatever it might be. So right now it's a disaster, and I'm terrified when you throw NIL and transfer portal in together. Players aren't learning the value of going through tough times. You know, they're not going through those 1 or 2 or 3 years of just, man, I'm in a hole, I don't know how to get out of it. And then they dig themselves out and they learn the valuable life lessons. First sign of trouble, they're gone, you know, and you add all that up, and it's a different time in college athletics, as we all know. And I hope they pull out of the NCAA and create their own governing body. I think that might be the only answer.
No, I like that. And it's almost like, hey, create a pro sports league, right? I mean, that's what you're doing there. Essentially, it's been a pro sports league for years. Just actually make it official and build it up that way, like we have in MLB, NFL, etc. So I want to finish with the tie-in here with baseball and football. So he'll be back on tomorrow. And one of our friends on the show, Whit Merrifield, who's on the Toronto Blue Jays, went to South Carolina, huge SEC football fan. He told us that when he joined the Blue Jays, which play in the AL Beast, as many call them now, it's the best division in baseball, most would say. He said many people told him, like, welcome to the big leagues now. This is the SEC of MLB. So do you agree from what you've seen? And is that what you're talking about when you say, hey, there's these powerhouse clubs? Although I will say, like, Baltimore is in there, Tampa Bay's in there. They're not necessarily spending more than anyone. It's just that all those teams are stacked.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're always going to, in Major League Baseball, I mean, it's such a long season, as you guys know. I mean, there's an ebb and flow to a season, and things start to kind of even out, and the cream rises and the best teams eventually emerge. But yeah, I mean, the SEC and college football has been the king. I mean, the depth and the teams that go on to win the championships speak for themselves. It is what it is. I think on top of that, I mean, AJ can speak about the Swamp as one example of the atmosphere that you walk into. I could just tell you, as watching the Reds play the Red Sox, the Reds atmosphere sadly is like a morgue when you watch a game in Cincinnati. Maybe that'll change now that they're playing better and they got Milwaukee coming in this weekend. But man, I cannot help, even with the Reds up in the 8th and 9th inning, the energy in that building at Fenway. They almost came back. I think the Reds were up by, I don't know, 5 or 6, 7 runs in the 9th inning, and the Red Sox and their fans almost willed them to a victory. And that did remind me of an SEC kind of thing, where even when they're out of it, their fans come back and make a difference in the game. And you have so many behemoths in that division with the history and the tradition of guys like the Yankees and the Red Sox. But it is fun to see the Rays, who somehow have figured it out. They've got the cheat code on how not to spend money and how to compete every single year. And I find it refreshing, going back what the AJ said earlier about college football, same for when you see teams, you know, like Baltimore get up there, and just some new faces and new teams that kind of get you excited about some fresh faces trying to make a run.
Kirk, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, I love talking baseball with anybody, but especially a guy that's not in baseball. So thank you for coming on. Obviously, I love talking college football, and I think I'll see you September 3rd, Florida State.
Yeah, I'll be
Orlando.
there. Yeah, I'll be there, man.
Go Tigers. Hey, go! Yeah. My wife's a Florida State grad, so go Tigers. Yeah, if we want to play golf, let me know. Hit me up.
Awesome, man. I'll definitely hit you up that week. And anytime you guys want to talk baseball, I'd love to come on.
Absolutely. Awesome. My next plan is when the Reds are maybe sneak into a playoff spot.
Yeah.
We get Kirk right in the thick of his season. Then we got to get you back.
I'm going to have to cancel calling football and I'm going to the Reds game if that happens.
Hell yeah. We're in. We'll do the show live. We've got actually a studio set up in Cincinnati, which we'll get into later. So
cool.
You're on.
Thank you guys for having me on. Take care.
Kirk, thanks, man.
Thanks, Kirk. Appreciate you. Awesome. Good Reds talk going there. And actually, it'll be a great transition in the next minute or two into Kike Hernandez, who was, of course, part of that game last night that Kirk was talking about at Fenway Park with the atmosphere there. But I will say, we do have a little bit of a setup in Cincinnati. I've been talking to our friends at Bet MGM about it.
All right, let's go.
So stay tuned.
Let's rage.
They need to keep playing well, though. They can't have one of those absolute downfalls from last year, which was right at the jump of the season.
Yeah.
They started, I'll get you the number in the next
It was like 0-17 or something, wasn't it? Crazy.
It was bad. And they actually didn't play terribly the rest of the year, but the start like that was absolutely atrocious. So
I just love
3-22.
3-22. That's not good. I just love talking to people that aren't specifically baseball people that love baseball like that. I mean, he knew more about the Reds than Jeb Brantley probably does, or Barry Larkin.
I'm telling you.
He's talking about dudes in the A-ball, pitchers coming, and I'm like, who is he talking about?
Yeah, he's a fan, man. He's a fan. Like I said, I know nothing about the Cincinnati Reds. So I know
they whooped the Red Sox ass 2 nights in a row.
2 nights
in a row. You might want to learn something.
Yeah. Well, that's all I know is that they beat up on the Red Sox the last 2 nights. But I learned something talking to Kurt about the Reds, what we got coming,
My thing was it did open my eyes because I'm such a prospect person to saying like, hey, wait a second. This guy's playing good ball. He's the leader of the squad. He doesn't want to move positions. Maybe if Ellie De La Cruz long-term is one of your, infielders, but there's not a spot right now. Or at least not at shortstop, because then it's going to move McLean to second and boot India. Maybe you don't do that this year. Maybe you wait. You give it a spring training, and you say, hey, Rook, we're going to make you more versatile right now. I don't know. There's a lot of different concepts there.
Well, the guy coming on next is pretty versatile.
He is incredibly versatile.
I want to know why he won't catch. He's scared, I think.
Hey, there was no way you were getting me behind the plate, AJ.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Kike. I knew you were scared. We talked about it before.
Super scared.
The more athletic Brock Holt joining us right now. Kike Hernandez of the Boston Red Sox. Kike, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
I'm good, guys. How are you?
Really good. Really good. Go ahead, Brock. You could start.
Yeah, we were just talking, Kike, how Joe Kelly, whenever you signed with the Red Sox, Joe Kelly went on all these podcasts saying, yeah, Kike's great, man. He's a more athletic Brock Holt. And like that hit me deep, but I mean, obviously true, You can play center field, Gold Glove defense, center field. You're playing shortstop right now. You can do it all. So, okay. I'm a poor man's Kike. We know that.
Hey, you got an All-Star game. I don't have that in my belt. So.
Hey, there you go. Well, that's coming.
Do you have any cycles?
Hey, to answer AJ's question, I don't wear a cup, bro. I don't want to catch it. I don't wear a cup. So that's simple.
Yes, Kike. Neither did Brock. That's why he couldn't catch
I didn't either. And I had concussions. I had concussion problems, man. I was playing dizzy bat trying to hit out there most of the time. So one foul tip into the mask and your boy was out.
That's what it feels like to try and hit the sweepers these days.
Good call. Whee! Hey, how is the vibe? So we just had Kirk Herbstreit on, who's a massive Reds fan, and he was saying, even though the team right now is playing inspiring ball, he's like, I go to a Reds game, it's like a morgue. I go to Boston, and it's almost like the fans can will the team back into ball games. So now you've been there now for a bit. Is that how you feel compared to some other places? I know obviously Dodger Stadium's different too, but do you feel that when you're in Boston?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's certain atmospheres that you can't compare to anything, and Fenway is one of those places that everybody that comes in here wants to beat us because we're in Fenway, they're in Fenway, and But then there's times where it can be a really rowdy atmosphere for the opposing team, and it can rattle them. And we're trying to keep the fans behind us. And it's just unfortunate that the last 2 nights, the only sport in town right now has gone 0-2 since the Celtics lost. So we need to turn it around quick here.
So if Brock is a less athletic version of you, who are you a less athletic version of that you're like, okay, I'll take that? Like if somebody was like, oh man, Kike Hernandez is a poor man's.
Probably hobby, I guess.
Poor man's hobby bias?
Yeah, slower, less juice, less arms, so probably a poor man's hobby.
Slower? You think you're slower than Hobby? I got you beating Hobby in a foot race.
I don't know. He steals bases. He's got a better swim move, so
he can swim move better than a lot of people, but I got you beating him in a foot race. He's not playing center field though, like you.
Well, I'm not playing center field either this year, so.
Well, you can. We've seen it.
Yeah.
What about
whatever
the
the team needs? The
What about the
payload, we've had a couple of different colors this year, trying to keep it fun. It's just hair. My daughter says purple, so we got purple hair right now.
What changes the color? What determines the color? Like Lindor has a stylist that says you should go blue today, right? So do you have your daughter say purple? You go purple, white. You go white.
So these are all semi-permanent. So you wash your hair a couple of times and it goes away. So once it goes back to, I guess, neutral, we decide. We let the daughter decide. We've had green, we've had purple, we've had pink. So we're just semi-permanent, and as long as we got it, we'll paint it. And once it's over, it's over.
I like it. As someone that used to have a hair about that color, I like it. I like the change of the color. I had to stick with the white though. But Red Sox, you guys are right there. Over 500. I think a lot of people didn't think you were going to be there. What's so good about this team? The offense has been awesome. Devers awesome, but everyone's banging. Pitching's been better than expected. What's the secret to the Red Sox this year?
I think our will, to come from behind. We've done a really good job this year of coming from behind on teams. It feels like there's no lead big enough for us, and outside of the NL Central, we'd be having a really good season. We're 2-9 against the NL Central right now. We've had our struggles against that division for whatever reason, but we've also had some injuries like Duvall. He was probably the best hitter in baseball before he got hurt, and we've lost Arroyo and Yu Chang. Obviously, Trevor has been out all year, but we've had some guys that have stepped in great, filled in some roles marvelously, and then we've had guys come back from injuries in the rotation, and it's given the rotation a better look, and it's helped the bullpen shape up better. We got some weapons that can give us multiple innings in that bullpen. We got some guys that can bridge, and then we got a really good back end and Martin and Kenley. And then, as far as us, is we've been struggling to score runs last few days, and 2 nights ago we fell short. We had a big comeback in the 9th inning. We fell short, but then again last night we fell a little bit short again. But we need to manufacture runs, find a way to do what we were doing before last week, and I think we're going to be all right.
What gets you hyped up? What's the thing that gets you going? Like angry, juiced, makes you cry? What is it? What's your thing? I don't even care if it's baseball, anything in life.
Probably family, man. But if we're talking baseball, it's got to be October. Nothing better than playing in October. Once you get a taste of it, once you get a taste of winning, you just want to have more and more of it, and you get kind of addicted to it. But I would say outside of baseball, it's just my family. My family is the most important thing in my life, and outside of that is probably October baseball.
So if it's October baseball, do you think it's fair that some teams that are going to be hovering around 500 have a shot at getting into the playoffs? Like, should we have expanded playoffs, or you've grinded a whole season to get there? Like, it's a reward, right?
Yeah, it's a reward. I guess that in 21 we had a pretty good run towards the end, and I guess we were able to get in due to the expanded playoffs. So I can't completely shit on it. It makes it a little more exciting. I do believe that a lot of times the wild card team has the advantage because they're the ones that stay playing. They're the ones that gain the momentum when they win a playoff series, and while the other team is just sitting there. But I think it gives the fans an extra series to watch. It makes the playoff baseball last a little longer. It's almost like the NBA. The NBA playoffs last like a month and a half, and I guess we're trying to make it the same. I don't know, but overall, I'm not completely opposed to it. There hasn't been a team with a losing record that has gotten to the World Series yet, so I don't know. We'll see.
No, nobody wants to see a team that's like 72 and 90 go to the World Series. They get hot. Like, come on.
Why?
I want to see the powerhouses.
Yeah, but look at like Philly last year.
They were over 500.
I know, but they did not play great, and then they went on a run, and they're streaky ball club, and but they still won like 87 games or something. Right.
Not like they were terrible.
I think the closest we've had so as far as 2020 when the Astros got to the playoffs and they were one win away from the World Series, and they were like 5 games under 500 or something like that.
I'm sure you've answered this. In 2020, though, 2 things. One, I was at the Game 6. I got COVID, so tell Justin Turner thank you next time you talk to him. Okay. I figured. I know. I've told him this story before. No,
you told JT?
I was at Game 6, and I actually got COVID when I got home, but I just tell everyone Justin gave it to me.
Or maybe you gave it to him.
No, he had it before me. But
you guys were sharing a room or what?
No. I was just in the stands. I was in the stands watching. First of all, about that, if there was a Game 7, they probably wouldn't have played it. It would have been crazy, but that's a whole different point.
Yeah.
How happy were you guys when they took Snell out of the game? Is a team, you're like, we can't hit this dude. Yep, he's going to go 9, shove it. Oh, they're taking him out. Who are they bringing in? Mariano Rivera? So what? It ain't Blake Snell. Let's go, boy. Bam, bam, bam. So what was it like in that dugout?
There was a lot of comments being said. We obviously lose. We knew that once he came out of the game, there's no way we were going to lose that game. Because we've been on the other side of the ball. We were on the other side of that ball in 18 when Rich Hill came out of that game in Game 4 against the Red Sox. It kind of shifted momentum in that series, and it's one of those where you were looking at both dugouts, and both dugouts were having completely different reactions, and one that was shared was the shock. But yeah, once we came out of the game, we're like, there's no way we're losing this game. There's no way we can lose now.
Kike, Sale pitching tonight. Chris Sale, ex-teammate of mine. How good has he been his last few starts? He's back, right? He's back? Tell me he's back.
He's back, man. He's the Chris of old. He's throwing hard. He's commanding his changeup. He's commanding his breaking ball. The velo. I think the velo has been the most important part. He kind of banged the sinker against the righties, and he's throwing the sinker against the lefties, and just straight 4-seamers against the righties, letting it rip. And I think he cleaned something mechanically about 5 starts ago that was the difference maker. And then last start, he was having the good old case of massive diarrhea with like some food poisoning, and somehow he lost like 5 pounds. I didn't know that he was capable of losing 5 pounds, and came out and shoved for 5 innings, gave us what we needed to win the game, and speaks volumes of what he's been doing. I don't think there's anybody in this locker room that's to fight his way back the way he has the last couple of years, with some obviously injuries that are part of the game, and then some injuries that haven't been part of the game, like the 2 incidents that he had last year, and that were very unfortunate. But he's got some great momentum going into the start. He's been wonderful for his last 4 or 5 starts, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. It's one of those, I've been here. This is my 3rd year now, and I've barely played with him, and I'm glad that I have a front row seat to the Chris Sale show, and it's been great to watch.
Has he tried to cut up your jersey or anything?
No. We stay with the standard jerseys. He's even all for the yellow sock jerseys. So thus far, no incidents. I did get to see one of those famous jerseys the other day. Joe McEwen was in town, and he kept his and sent it over for him to sign it. So I believe there's only like 4 or 5 out there that are left in the world that exist. So those jerseys might be worth a lot of money one day.
We just
For
had
real?
Ken Golden. We just had Ken Golden on yesterday from the King of Collectibles. Maybe we'll ask him next time we get on. What would a Chris Sale cut-up jersey be worth?
I literally finished watching that show 2 days ago.
He was just on yesterday. He had some cool insight. But I want to ask you, you play with Tommy Pham. Who's more scary, Tommy Pham just on the reg or Chris Sale after a bad outing?
I would say it's different. I mean, Chris is the ultimate competitor. So when it's time to compete, he's, fierce and intimidating and all this. But Tommy's a joy. I enjoyed my time with Tommy last year. Everything that he does is intense, and he's got a great ability to like hyper focus in everything that he does, and everything that he does is with a purpose. And he just looks angry all the time, and I don't think he is. He's just locked in and everything. But on a day-to-day, probably Tommy Pham for sure, because Chris is just normal for 4 days of the week, and then this one start he kind of like transforms. But Tommy's just like that for 162 games. So I'll probably say Tommy.
Hey, we got a fan question from Dylan. Dylan said, "What is it like playing with Yoshida, aka Macho Man? Is that what people call him in the clubhouse?"
No, we just call him Masa. When he signed him, I hit him up on Instagram and I was like, "Hey Yoshi, like welcome to the Red Sox, man. We're excited to have you." And his first response back was, "Call me Masa." I was like, "All right, it's not Yoshi, it's Masa." And then first month of the season, every time he would come up to the plate, the fans would go, "Yoshi, Yoshi, Yoshi." I was like, "No, guys, he doesn't like that. He just wants to be called Masa." But man, what a talent, what a swing, what an ability to hit. I just wish that there was no language barrier so that we can communicate a little more and talk baseball. But unbelievable hitter, great talent, special talent at the plate, unreal watch collection too.
Really? Okay.
Watch collection. Okay. You're a watch guy?
I like watches, but I definitely wouldn't feel good about my future if I spend the amount of money on watches as he has.
Oh, okay.
You can sell them though; they can be collectible.
Yeah, they actually go up in value.
Yeah, they can go up.
Yeah. Ken Golden told us that yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can go up in value, but I mean, why would I buy something to sell it? And if I buy something, I want to wear it.
It's kind of like when people buy Jordans, right? They're like, "I'm not going to wear them."
They don't touch them,
dude. If you buy them and you can't afford to wear them, you shouldn't be buying them in the first place.
Yeah, but people flip them.
Still, it's just.
Yeah, I wear my shoes.
I'm with Kike on this, man. Like if I'm buying a watch, I'm wearing it.
No, I know.
If I'm buying shoes,
but there are players, Kike, in the bigs who are big card collectors, like Evan Longoria, Bobby Witt, Donaldson, and they flip cards. Like they love it. It's like that's their hobby.
That's different. You can't wear a
baseball card. You don't wear a card. Do you put it on your forehead or?
Yeah, thank you. You're gonna put it in your bike.
Don't do that.
Logan Paul with his Pokemon cards, blinged out. Baseball cards, nah.
Hey, Kike, on another note here, I wanted to hit this with you on baseball in Puerto Rico. I mean, you've been in the league for a while now. You've had a lot of success on a personal and on a team level. I know you're looked up to a ton in your home country. So what do you think of the state of baseball right now in Puerto Rico? And maybe it's a loaded question. I asked that also with the draft coming up. We always mention guys and about a year ago, international draft came up. And I know Puerto Rico is kind of like the test case where they've been able to say, like, here's the pros, here's the cons of having players from there being involved in the draft with everyone else coming from the U.S. and Canada. So, and we got some good shots of you playing in the WBC, styling like crazy with your friends. But just wanted to get your take on how baseball is going there and if there's anything that should be done differently and how it affects the draft.
I've always believed that the draft is a little bit of a disadvantage for Puerto Rican players because obviously all teams have scouts there. Maybe not all, but most of the teams have their area scouts there. And when the national lacrosse checker or the scouting director and all these guys, special assistant GMs, they might get to watch you play once a year. And if they go for a weekend and you have a doubleheader on a Saturday and it's baseball, man. Anybody can have a really bad game, a really bad day, and if that's the only time they see you before the draft, sometimes it doesn't matter what the reports say about you. If they go to see you to decide whether they want to draft you high or not, and you have a bad day, sometimes that can affect your stock, your value, compared to guys in the U.S. where they're constantly being watched year round. For us Puerto Ricans, we have to sometimes travel and go to like the perfect game tournaments or all different kinds of showcases, and not everybody can afford that, obviously. And as far as the international draft, I don't know enough about it. I don't think that we would be part of the international draft since we're already part of the domestic draft. That's something that I guess I haven't done enough research or talked to enough people about it, because I don't know how that would affect them. The Venezuelans, the Dominicans, I don't know. I guess the Mexicans would fall part of that. I don't even know if the Japanese guys, the Asian guys would be a part of this. But I think baseball in Puerto Rico, they said that there was a little bit of a drought right there in between the generation of the Beltrans, the Posadas, the Juan Gonzalez, and all those guys. I know that Beltran and Yachty held the torch for a long time, and then we're in a good place right now as far as being in the big leagues. We have about 20-something players. That's we've been steady with that number for a couple of years now. Obviously, we have Lindor, Correa, Baez, we have Barrios, we have Edwin Diaz, and those guys that we have some big names that are doing really good things in the game. And I know that there's a lot of players for kids there to look up to now. But the way the draft keeps cutting down rounds and all that, it affects the Puerto Rican players in a way. And I hope that more schools, more universities start going to Puerto Rico and looking for kids to pursue their dream in other ways. And hopefully more and more kids can find their ways into professional baseball and are able to fulfill their dreams.
That's a good call. I mean, you're tied into the college baseball scene. More recruiting in Puerto Rico.
I agree. In high school, Perfect Game, he's talking about like Perfect Game tournaments. You'll see every once in a while you will run into a Puerto Rico team.
Yeah,
they're usually pretty good.
Yeah, of course.
But it's not as many as you see. Obviously, it's just hard.
College baseball though, can
there's some college ones.
There. Yeah,
they could, but you don't really see that many. Kike, you know better. How many? You don't see that many high school kids from Puerto Rico end up in. Most of them, if they're good, they sign out of high school. So you don't. There's not that. Alvarez Vandy. Was he Puerto Rican?
Pedro
Alvarez? No, or no?
No, Pedro. I think Pedro's Dominican. Grew up in the States, I believe. Yeah, but
Dominican from New York.
I think the problem with a lot of kids, if they don't get drafted, they got to go to junior college, because majority of the guys, whether it's the language barrier or they don't know, in order for you to go to a 4-year school, you got to take the SAT. And in Puerto Rico, one of the things that is mandatory to go to school is like the College Board. I don't know if they have it in the States, but that's the test that they got to take when they're seniors in high school or whatever. And not enough people take the SATs in Puerto Rico if they want to play baseball, and I think that affects their status to their eligibility to go to a 4-year school. And obviously, the language barrier is huge. Not everybody is lucky enough to learn English before they get drafted, so that is something that gets in the way as well. But I think if schools start getting there at a younger age, they can start educating kids better and finding ways to get kids into their schools, because there is more than enough talent. I saw it throughout the years, a lot of kids that maybe if we were Venezuelan or Dominican, they would get a chance to just. I mean, there's so many talented players out of Puerto Rico that are willing to just sign for like $1,000 just to be able to play professional baseball and get their shot. But since we have to go through the draft, not a lot of people get that opportunity, and that's why I believe that the draft affects us in ways. And it's just, I think if schools start getting to Puerto Rico and scouting kids at younger ages and in high school, I think that they can, educate them enough to do what they have to do in order to get to a 4-year school. And once they get to a 4-year school, if they do a good job, they're going to have a better chance of getting drafted.
Dude, if I was a college coach, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm figuring it out, because there's too many good players down there. especially if you're a school like in Florida or somewhere in the South, Texas area. It's an easy flight to San Juan, in and out, right? Like I'm crushing it down there.
One of our fans in the live chat right now said my school, Indiana State, recruits in Puerto Rico, and they're the number 14 seed as a mid-major.
See,
that's smart.
I'm like that seems like a win-win. You figure out a way to help these kids get not only better at the baseball but better their lives.
Yep.
Get them into college, help them. They figure it out.
Yeah.
There's too many good players.
So I asked that. I know it was a loaded question, but obviously hearing from Kike, it was cool. So Kike, hey, dude, we appreciate the time, man. Great to talk to you and catch up. And Brock, work on your athleticism, man.
He runs marathons. I don't have him in my book either.
He walked most of it. Don't give him too much. He can't say anything.
That's
we
true.
can't hear what he's saying, so it doesn't matter.
He's still
Brock,
talking. We're
Brock,
just ignoring him.
But you look great, Brock.
I'm not even walking a marathon.
Kike, hey, good luck tonight, man. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Congrats
Cheers,
on the
man.
100 homers.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we forgot
He
that.
just passed it the other night. I saw
Yep.
his dinger.
Wow.
Brock, you good? Nope.
No, that's great.
Just come on back, Brock.
Yeah, just keep talking.
We do it. Just come on back.
Hey, this is the one time his lip sync is right on.
Yeah.
There's
it's
no
beautiful.
delay.
We are going to talk to Sarah Langs coming up in just a moment. Yeah. Brock, we don't really have you for your words. We have you for your smile and for your facial
looks.
expressions. So
And you're on unathleticism.
that's cool.
Now, look,
No, I wanted to get into that though, and I know some of our fans appreciated it too. Is Kike's opinionated. He's got a lot of pride for Puerto Rico, and obviously many people turn to him from that area, and there are others too. But Kike's very approachable. He's pretty active on social, so just an interesting topic because Puerto Rico is they're included in the MLB draft.
yes,
That's what. So that
they're
was
like
my
the only
question.
Latin American country
right?
that is.
Which is just
But
interesting.
they're
to
also
me.
they're a territory, right?
Sure.
So I think that's why they are included. And unlike Dominican, Venezuela, all of Colombia, Panama, all of them, Mexico, where they do like the internet, because Puerto Rico is basically not they're pretty close to a state, although
Yes.
they're not. They're included in our territories, so that's why I think they're included. Now, I think what he said was interesting, where he said if there'd be more Puerto Rican players if they weren't part of the draft. But again, man, if I'm a college coach, I am crushing it down there.
I'm
I'm
going
flying
down
down
there
there.
for high
Oh.
school.
I'm crushing dudes down there to try to get them to come to my college.
That was the other interesting thing about when we spoke to Kirk Herbstreit, when he said, hey, we got to formalize this and make it basically more like a pro sports league with college football. And I'm thinking, we have the same thing going on in schools. I know where I grew up, right? Like certain players that were really good, they get scooped up. Jersey basketball scene, it's St. Patrick's. You've heard of these schools or no? St. Patrick's, St. Anthony's, St. Benedict's.
Where are they?
Jersey?
They're Saints? Yes,
I
I've
don't-
heard of one of them.
I don't
I've
have
heard of
anything-
St. Anthony. My name's Anthony.
Yeah. You haven't heard of St. Patrick's?
It's a great cathedral in
those
New York.
schools would just take the best players from everywhere in the state.
Have you ever heard of Stoneman Douglas?
Of course.
Oh,
You've
that's
talked about them,
that's what they
once
do.
a week on the show?
Well, they do.
Right. But this is my point is, hey, best players, grab them. It's what
Yeah, that's what
colleges do.
That's what they do, yeah. 100%. It's legal. Why not?
Right.
Scoop them up.
It's recruiting.
100%.
Do you know this is his? He's gonna have over 9 years of service after this year, Kike. Do you realize that?
Well, then
I feel like he's been around for longer than that.
He's been in the game. He'll be back on definitely next year when we get his 10-year service, John.
Who's coming up next on the 10-year?
Smokey.
It's
No.
Corey Dickerson.
I thought it was Smokey.
Smokey who?
Brad Hand.
Oh, Brad Hand. I think he's getting up there too, but I
He's
think Corey Dickerson.
6'7". Zach Wheeler's
yeah,
today.
I got to redo those dates. I got to re-up them.
Zach Wheeler's today.
No way.
6'1".
My numbers are off.
Oh, well, on your list, you originally sent me Zach Wheeler and then Smokey 6'7", Brad Hand.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Next week
I can hear Brock.
is going to be joining the show.
Oh, well, there you go.
So newsflash. Hey, Brock.
Hey, Brock.
Hey,
Brock.
guys.
Hey.
I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Can you mute
Good.
Brock, please? No. I'm just kidding.
Jesus.
We got a lot.
I wanted to ask Kike so many questions too.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you don't pay your Wi-Fi.
Yep, we're gonna have to clean it up over here.
Exactly. Well, Brock, here, you can ask one of the first questions, okay, to our next guest joining us on FT Live, the super talented Sarah Langs joins us right now. Sarah, great to see you. As you can see, we love the shirts. So just wanted to point out, it's hard to get AJ and me to wear the same shirt. So we are matching today. We're loving it. Great to see you. How are you?
I'm great, and thank you so much. And I see the hat down there as well. And Erik, I love it all. So thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, there's nobody better on Twitter than Sarah. It's the best. I'm new to Twitter, Sarah, and you're one of my first follows because the thing I love more than anything on your Twitter is the we tweets, the ones where the team's going to win, and then it just goes, whee, and all of a sudden their win prior goes from up here to 0. It's like, crash.
Those are so much fun. I love those graphics. Everyone's always in the mentions like, oh, this is why stats are bad. That's not the point. That is the probability. When I go we, it's because there was a walk-off or something wild. Team scored 5 runs in the top of the 9th. And overall, I mean, you guys can speak to it as players. I mean, that is the feeling over the course of the game. This was the Mariners and the Yankees last night. This was nothing into the 10th inning. You see how close it is to that middle line. I mean, just hugging the line, and you're there in the dugout thinking we just need one. So I love those graphs. I love what they represent. And so many fans reply and are like, oh my gosh, this is my EKG while watching this game. I mean, people definitely identify with the up and down there.
Who is your favorite person to follow on baseball Twitter? Not just every Twitter, but baseball Twitter. And you can't say Mandy Bell. She's your best friend. That's not fair.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I think I have to go with the GOAT of sports stats and everything with Jason Stark. I mean, none of this, the fact that people are interested in stats and tidbits would even be possible without him and Tim Kirkshin. Timmy, not big on Twitter, but Jason, always there finding the wildest of things and sharing, and baseball exclamation point at the end. So always fun to see what Jason is digging up.
Sarah, speaking of stats, I want to talk about home runs right now. We've got Aaron Judge, who's on fire. He's doing his thing again. Pete Alonso is on pace for 60 or whatever. We've got another race in New York. I know you grew up a huge Mets fan, not that big of a Yankees fan. Who do you got in the home run race? Who's going to hit more? And are you excited about those two players?
I mean, this is awesome. You know, I remember a couple of years ago, looked like maybe DJ LeMahieu and Jeff McNeil, maybe this was back to 2019, might both win batting titles. We're looking at sort of historic New York races between those two teams, but home runs is obviously the most fun. I think I have to go with Judge only because, you know, he had that amazing year last year and everyone says, okay, we knew he could do it, but no way he does it again. And then here he is doing it again. I mean, it's incredible to see. He's been on fire since he came off the injured list, but I hope they tie. I mean, I hope they both hit like 63. It would be amazing to watch.
Hey, Sarah, I want to take you to Juan Soto and a recent tweet from you on his numbers since April 27th, because our guys were critical of what? Of his approach? Don't look at me crazy.
No, AJ was critical.
Oh, it was just me.
And so
AJ was
just
this
me.
Is one of the best. Look, and I want to say for the podcast crowd too that's not watching, 210 weighted runs created plus, and for those of you who don't know that stat as much as OPS plus, they're very similar numbers. Highest in MLB since April 27th. Sarah posted his OPS 1146, highest in MLB among qualified hitters since April 27th, and now we're into June. I just think it's worth everyone pointing out that this is a guy who turned it around. And I know some people are saying, like, dude, swing the bat.
You're you know what he started doing?
The game. What?
He started swinging the damn bat and getting hits.
And it's working out.
And guess what? Now he's hitting. Weird.
I mean, the main thing he started doing is hitting the ball into the air. He was hitting ground ball after ground ball early in the year. Those first 26 games for him, no sweet spot bad balls, not very many, really not hitting those line drives and fly balls you want to see. We know he hits the ball really hard, and he was doing that earlier in the year, but now he's hitting the ball hard and in the air. That's how you hit a 114-mile-an-hour home run at Yankee Stadium like he did last Friday.
Have you ever gone through? I mean, I feel like your eyes just like light up when you hear numbers and you see them and you're researching them. Have you ever found a number and like gone back and been like, wait a minute, what? And then you go back and then you look at it again and you're like, oh my gosh, like I like you just bubble over with excitement that you found that. And do you remember that moment?
Oh my gosh. I mean, there are a lot of those. I think that happens every day. But one of my absolute favorites was back in 2019. So Pablo Sandoval came in and pitched a scoreless 8th inning for the Giants in a game they were losing big in Cincinnati. He had homered earlier in the game, and I believe he stole a base in the 9th inning, like borderline defensive indifference, but it was a stolen base. And I'm sitting there wondering how many guys have thrown a scoreless inning or had a scoreless outing, also hit a home run and had a stolen base. And I went to Elias for going back and forth, and it turned out that only one other guy in the modern era had done that. It was Christy Mathewson, also for the Giants, also against the Reds. And of course, he threw a shutout, a little bit different than Pablo's, 1 inning in mop-up duty, but I thought that was so cool. How often can you connect Christy Mathewson and Pablo Sandoval?
Well, Sarah, now it's a daily occurrence with Shohei. It happens all the time. So it's like every time he pitches, you're like, homer, shutout, stolen bases, triples.
Cycle watch.
Yes, I know. It's like, back then that was a big deal. Now it's like, Shohei's pitching. It'll happen.
Yeah, we're underappreciating
Yeah,
a little
exactly.
bit. Probably, right, Sarah? Even though, I mean, we might never see something like this in our lifetime.
I mean, I don't think we will. I know there are kids out there who are two-way players. There are kids in the minors, players who are doing this, but nobody will ever be the first to do this the way we have seen from Shohei Ohtani. He hits the ball so hard. He throws the ball so hard. I mean, that's the thing. Luckily, I think we're way past the Babe Ruth comparisons at this point. And no disrespect to Babe Ruth, but Babe Ruth was not throwing 100 miles an hour. He was not facing 100 miles an hour. He was certainly not hitting the ball 450 plus feet or 115 miles an hour off the bat. So it's just incredible. I mean, last weekend, I believe on Saturday when he pitched, he had 10 strikeouts and a stolen base. I mean, who does that? Nobody but Shohei Ohtani.
What's funny is we had Pete Alonso on Friday, and I don't remember who asked it from our show. They said, who would you want to face all time? And Babe Ruth's name came up. Maybe it was Kratzy, and Pete goes, Babe was probably throwing dumpy 84-mile-an-hour cutters that, barely moved.
But he's right. I mean, again, baseball history is incredible. But, everyone talks about Walter Johnson's fastball. It was probably not much above 85 or 88. But again, the game has evolved. Bodies have evolved. Healthcare, everything in this country has evolved, which is how these guys are at peak performance now. But Pete is not wrong there. And again, with no disrespect to baseball history.
No, trust me. I mean, I sit next to someone where I'm like, nah, dude, it was different when you played. I'm like, you can't homer in 2023.
Well, in Boston, you have the red seat, right? Ted Williams was supposed to hit the red seat. There's no way in hell he hit that red seat.
That thing is bullshit.
And
How far out is that?
Every time they redo the stadium, it moves up 10 feet.
They say it's 504 feet, but it's like 800 feet. Like, there's no possible way that anyone ever hit a ball that far.
Yeah, Sarah. Next time you're in Boston, I want you to go sit in the Red Sea because I've gone out there and then look. You need binoculars to see home plate.
It's literally like
wow.
12. I mean, Fenway's right field goes up like this, and it's literally I think 12 or 14 rows from being all the way out of the stadium. And you've had guys Dustin Pedroia tells me all the time. He's like, I've seen Josh Hamilton at like he actually absolutely squared up a ball as hard as you can hit it, as far as you can hit it, and it was 30 rows from hitting the red seat. You're telling me Ted Williams hit that? No.
He spent a whole BP one time trying to hit that red seat. Michael Young told the story when we went there. He goes, all he did, he said he rarely would hit on the field because it would make his swing bobo, but he said he got there and he's like, I got to try to hit that red seat. They said he didn't come within 10 rows of it.
No, it's unbelievable.
Hey, Sarah, so special day coming up, of course, on Friday, and I wanted to get your thoughts on a number of topics here. Yes. So first off, and let me plug a few things. Baseball is the best shirt. This is Sarah's phrase. It is so fitting for our baseball community, which is incredibly special. And I love how Sarah points that out. You can get these shirts on rotoware.com, and proceeds from each shirt sold benefit Project ALS. And I know you put that together. It's probably been almost a year ago, and Pitching Ninja is partnered up here. And I know Mandy Bella has been big in helping to put this together as well. The next step here is, if you're a fan of baseball and you know Sarah's story, you can be her teammate in the fight against ALS. She is obviously battling this disease, and you can purchase a Lang Star for $50 and help her and everyone fighting ALS at starsforsarah.org. So what does Lou Gehrig Day mean to you? And also, are you ready to throw out the first pitch at Citi Field?
All right, let's be clear. I am not throwing out the first pitch. I know the release said that something got lost in translation. It will be my incredible boyfriend, who is my Superman. He will be throwing it out. By the way, he is in Denver right now, researching the NBA Finals. He will be back in New York tomorrow to throw out that first pitch, and I'm very excited for that. But I'm really excited for Gehrig Day and for all of the momentum that we've really seen for ALS awareness, all week. I mean, I've been honored to be asked to do a handful of pregame shows, radio hits, everything. And while I'm not great at talking about myself or having the focus on myself, I am so glad to represent ALS awareness and hopefully bring so much more awareness to this horrible disease. I mean, I think people think that it's rare or they don't know very much about it. It's not a rare disease. It is just an underfunded one. And I always point out, people may think I, as a young woman, am an atypical case. You know, you think of someone like Lou Gehrig or even someone older. He was actually pretty young as ALS patients and diagnoses go. But of course, he's male. I'm a woman. There's certainly a difference there. And to that I say, I'm actually part of a group called Her ALS Story that involves a group chat of like 30 or 40 women, all diagnosed before the age of 35. So I've been really trying to hammer that home so people see this is not a rare disease. I think it has maybe a PR, not problem, but it's hard to talk about ALS because so many patients are gone so quickly, or it affects their ability to speak. So anything that I can do to help raise awareness for this cause, I'm here, I'm ready to do it. And I'm so excited for tomorrow across Major League Baseball and so grateful to be being honored. I mean, I'm so overwhelmed, but in a good way.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, the baseball community loves you, and this is where the baseball community can truly shine, from media, players, teams, writers, influencers, tweeters, everybody out there just coming together. And like you said, giving a lot more attention to ALS. So I wanted to ask you, over, especially this last year or so, if you've come across people that you can connect with that have reached out to you and either thanked you or spoken to you about their battle, or a family member or a friend's battle with ALS, and what you've been able to do to completely amplify the conversation, especially within the baseball community, and of course raise a lot of money and awareness for it.
Well, I mean, again, to the point of this not being rare, I can't tell you how many people, whether in my life or, more tangential, have reached out to me and said, oh, my uncle had ALS, my grandmother had ALS. And I have learned of so many people who have been touched by this disease, which just tells you again the fact that it isn't rare. I will say people tweeted me stories of their families and how they're so grateful to see ALS being talked about more. So I'm really honored to be able to do that and use my platform in this way. And people tweeted me at baseball games wearing the shirt, like people I've never met in my life. And it still blows my mind that there are people who do not know me personally went out and purchased this shirt. And I know that they did because RotoWare shared the amount of money that's been raised. So it's clear that it was not just my friends, family, and colleagues, but I still can't even begin to process that. So if anyone watching is in that category, thank you so much. It really, really means so much to me.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right. I mean, even as we're doing this, like the number of fans in our YouTube chat saying, hey, I've got a shirt. And then, of course, the podcast is what gets most listens on this show, too, afterwards. So there's a ton of support. You're right. And people just that don't necessarily have your phone number or aren't able to see you or talk baseball with you because you've got a busy job and you're watching all of the games. It's a great way for them to be like, hey, I'm here. I'm watching. I'm following. I'm supporting. So Sarah, it was really great to catch up with you. I know you've got a busy night of games and then a very, very busy day tomorrow. We'll be watching. We'll be following the coverage. We'll be talking about it on our show on Friday as well. So great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. So good to see you. And thank you again for wearing the shirts.
You're welcome. Sarah, hold on. Before you go, do you have Instagram or are you only on Twitter?
Oh, because people
are asking on the chat.
Yeah, it's Langs MLB.
Langs MLB.
S Langs MLB.
S Langs MLB. Okay,
S Langs
thank
MLB
you.
for Instagram for everyone, and of course for Twitter.
Because some people are saying we don't have Twitter
sports.
and we want to follow you on Instagram. So thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Thank
Absolutely.
you, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
Sarah Langs joining us on FT Live. There you go. And we can post some of that too. I will also make a note when we post the pod later to post more information about everything I just said with the shirts and, of course, with the stars for Sarah. So the stats and the info that she provides on a daily basis is not just for the places that she works with and works for. I mean, and she loves it. Everyone uses Sarah's content all over the place. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah,
posting.
She's awesome.
She is on it, posting stats, posting crazy shit that we would use like in Hot Corner when we do that segment. So we're here.
She's a must follow. If you have Twitter or Instagram. If you want stats and you want interesting stats, she's for especially obviously Major League Baseball. It's the things she comes up with and finds. But again, like I said, told her the Wii one is my favorite one she does. Teams are winning and then they're way up here and then it's way to the bottom like a roller coaster. It's the best.
Yeah, even a casual fan, not just like, so many times like people think of like these numbers people. She does such a good job of like that chart. The Wii chart is great. Like you're like, oh wait, I didn't even see that game. I want to go and see what happened in the game. And then you pull it up. It really, to me, her stuff is a great conduit for like people to like go and check out a game, check out something that they didn't see. And it's because of the numbers, the graphics, and just the simplicity of it. Like Juan Soto stats. While you might not know what WRC plus is, like Juan Soto's smashing just based on her 2 lines.
Agreed. Hey, let's get to tonight's games. It is last minute game time from our friends at gametime.co. Can
I split myself in half and go to 2 places?
Yes. Okay. For this game, yes. Okay. In real life, no.
I don't think
still haven't figured that out. Yeah, still haven't figured that out. So, hey, while we're talking about this, if you check out the Game Time app, if you've never used it, go for it. Right. Thank you. Yes, it's nice and pretty on the board there for you. FT Live's the code, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. It's very simple, and we don't have many games to choose from tonight. But if you're not hitting a game and you want to hit one last minute, this is the spot to go to. So, AJ, which 2 games do you want to hit tonight? And then I'll help you decide which one to actually.
How many are there?
For a last minute.
There's only 3 games, right?
Yeah.
So,
and AJ's going to 2 of them.
Brock, this is what he does every time. He hamstrings, he kidnaps all the games, and then I go last, and I'm like, I
guess I'll take the last one.
Yeah, exactly.
AJ's the kid that just makes up the rules to all the games.
Yeah, I want to play this way. That's his private.
I'm taking my ball and going home, damn you guys. Okay, so I have to work the Angels-Astros game.
On Saturday.
No, tonight.
Oh, tonight.
But I'm doing it from here, so I'd rather be at the game. So that'll the reason for the one.
Fair.
Okay. And then the other one I want to go to is I want to go to the Red Sox because you'll see later in my locks why. But Chris Sale's pitching. So
against Hunter Green.
Reds
playing good ball. Great game last night.
So that's the 2 reasons. But in an ideal world, I'd do it to both. But I'd like to be at the Angels-Astros game because it's always better to do a game in person.
Well, let's get our guys to decide. Which one would you rather hit tonight?
I think – what's the other game? I might go
Angels-Astros.
I might go
there. Oh, the third game?
No, the third game. Since AJ's going to be at the other 2, I want to go to the one that he's not at.
That's Bibby against Pablo Lopez, Cleveland, Minnesota.
Most people would probably.
Is it really Bibby?
I did his game Saturday.
Oh.
Most people would probably expect me to say Red Sox, to go watch Sale, go to Fenway Park. I love it there, but I'm going to Houston, and not really for the baseball. I'm going to go for the Mexican food. I'm going to head down to Houston. I'm going to get some good fajitas pregame, maybe a margarita or 2, and then walk over to the
Homer pick. Aren't you from Houston?
No, I'm not from Houston. Dallas-Fort Worth area, Texas.
Oh, okay. Homer.
Play different.
But I want the Mexican food, man. Yeah. I want the Mexican food. I'm going to watch Angels-Astros.
Kratz?
I'm going back down there because I just was down there this past weekend calling the Conference USA Championship game, and I didn't get to see anybody. I went to the game. I didn't get to see any of my friends. I didn't get to see Joe Savory, Rice alone.
Savory, Rice, fight, never die.
Yeah, he was Shohei Ohtani before Shohei Ohtani was Shohei Ohtani. And, I want to go back. That flight is super easy. And why would you not want to go see the standing World Series champions go up against Mark Trout and Shohei? Easy.
I'll be in Minneapolis on Saturday, so I can pass on that game because I'll get to see it live on Saturday. The Guardians and the Twins. So, yeah.
You love covering the Guardians this year, don't you?
They keep me in the Central.
Big middle America guy.
You want to know why? Because I know how to say Bybee.
Only call the
I don't call games anymore, so I don't care. I can be that guy.
It's Bybee.
I can have a 98% success rate on pronunciation.
He's pretty good too, by the way.
He is good.
He's good. Don't sleep on Bybee. He's pretty damn good.
Wait for my lock.
Oh, okay.
Wait for it.
Wait to see my lock. We don't have enough time.
For now, if you're chilling at home, there are night games for you, especially if you're in one of those areas that we just hit. Go for it on Game Time. Check out the app. Here's how you get there. Once you download, you're heading over to grab your tickets, last-minute deals, and buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful. It's the fast and easy way to buy tickets. For sports, music, comedy, theater, whatever it is you're looking for, they have killer deals on last-minute tickets, the best price guarantee, so you don't stress over tickets and don't get them elsewhere, because this is where you're going to find the best prices. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and same row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So you don't need to plan in advance. I've become very last minute with my life. So this is perfect for me. I can't plan more than a few days ahead. I'm booking flights the day before. Don't tell our EP, Mark. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code FTLive, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. You just create the account after you have the app. You redeem code FTLive, $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Get yourself some flash deals on baseball games tonight. Okay. Controversial topic emerging from what? You know where I'm going?
I know exactly.
If I say the word controversial, what show is that related to at the moment?
Legends territory.
Correct.
Doug Mientkiewicz.
Doug Mientkiewicz, part 2 has been released, and we talked about it a little yesterday in the 04 Red Sox baseball, which Brock would probably appreciate. hearing the real juice on that story if you didn't catch it. But in part one, I put up 2. Doug talked about A-Rod, a former teammate of his in the bigs and also in high school, and he really went for it.
That's one way to put it.
Including the quote that really was a little personal.
He said it with his chest.
He did. He's going to die a lonely man, he said. That's going for it. So A-Rod responded. He was on a show on USA Today. He said he was shocked and surprised. He said, quote, thought the comments were strange because I always considered Doug a friend. And he concluded on the subject saying, quote, I wish him well. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Here's the thing about Doug's comments. Doug never said he didn't like Alex.
No.
He just said that he acts different than he did when he was in high school. Like Doug wasn't like, I hate Alex Rodriguez. He just said he's kind of not the same dude he was in high school.
Does anyone act the same as they did in high school? Actually, yeah, people stuck in high school.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey and Dazed and Confused. I keep getting older; they stay the same age.
Girls stay the same age.
Oh,
so Doug never really. Here's the thing: Doug was just saying that he's not the same dude he was. But again, nobody's probably the same person they were in high school.
Mm-hmm. I hope.
And Doug, if you know Doug will say what Doug wants to say. He's always been like this.
That's why it's a good interview.
Which is why it's a great interview. And the other thing about Doug is with Alex is he still sees him. Because in the interview, I asked him, remember, does he acknowledge you and you guys still hang out? And he's like, when he's awake, which is kind of funny.
Well, because he said he fell asleep.
Because he falls asleep, but like Rich Hoffman, their high school coaches, whatever, he won some award or whatever.
In the ceremony.
Yeah. So
he's working hard, A-Rod.
He's
working too much.
I think, and then I'm on Twitter and Instagram, they're coming after me. And I'm like, I didn't say
what.
They're just like, well, these two guys. And I'm like, dude, I didn't say anything.
No.
I just was asking the questions.
And the only thing you did point out, which I want to run real quick here, is on Fox, you just threw in there that the interview is up and people can check it out.
People need to listen.
It's fascinating. So let's run that little clip, please.
If you've not heard Doug Minkiewicz tell the story for the Alumni Association on Legends territory about when Derek Jeter pranked him during the job of Chamberlain, Midge.
I've not heard it.
You need to listen to it. They pulled this whole thing with Macy's.
It sounds elaborate.
Jason Benetti, it is elaborate.
Yes.
It is. That's why it's a great interview. You're right.
Plus, he tells the story when he got me fake arrested for a DUI.
Yes.
There's a lot. There's a lot to unfold in this.
No, it's worth a listen. I mean, you want inside, unfiltered conversation. Doug's got it. And for the Red Sox fans too, Brock, I knew the story. I remember reading all these articles, outside the lines, the story of the 2004 baseball. There was one slice that I felt like I didn't get, and I got it from Doug because we were far enough removed from it, where he was battling.
I saw the clip. I saw the clip of him talking about the ball. That's cool, man. That's inside stuff. He's the guy who caught the out, put it in his back pocket. What'd you do with it? He straight up told you guys. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. So check it out. That's all I'm saying. And let's get to some locks, please. Your BetMGM locks for Thursday. Let's make some successful picks for the people, please. Let's do our best here. A quick backtrack. It was a rough day. AJ's loving life. Rough day for everyone else. We went hard on overs, and Todd Father going with his Yanks.
Hey, I picked a guy, Noah Syndergaard, that said he'd give away his firstborn kid if he had one.
I'm glad you got that in there.
That's why I picked the over.
Don't throw your not born yet firstborn kid under the bus.
No.
Money bags. Here we go. Updates. Brock Star making his third appearance for the locks. So you're going to kick things off today, Brock Star, as we do our BetMGM locks for Thursday. Who you got?
Well, here we go again. AJ's going to be homer pick. Picking the Sox, but I'm taking the under. It's 9.5. I feel with Sale, Hunter Green throwing, I feel like there's no way those two teams score 10 runs. So I'm putting the lock on the Red Sox under. 9.5, and I'm going to be 2-1 come tomorrow.
Love that.
Weather permitting, because last time Brock picked
Yeah,
a game that was a washout.
Yep, I did get canceled. I did get canceled one time.
Canceled.
I'm also not invited on the show very often, so that's why my picks are a little low.
Yet.
Yes.
The invites are just getting started, but no, that's good. I see that. I mean, Hunter Green can put on a strikeout show. So, and Sale's had the good stuff lately. I'm going to let AJ go next because Sale's involved in his very complicated Cincinnati-Boston parlay.
So because Scott taught me how to parlay.
And same game parlay.
Yeah, same game parlay, like in Pirates of the Caribbean, where they're like, I'd like to parlay. I'm going Cincinnati-Boston under 9.5.
Okay.
First of all, these two teams have been banging the crap out of the ball, and Sale and Hunter Green, I feel like, are going to shove. And then I'm going over 5 strikeouts for Sale and over 5 for Hunter Green. That gets me to plus 135.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm betting 300. So bet 300 to win 405.
Woo! Going big on a Thursday, because then no matter what happens, we don't see it for a few days. AJ will disappear after that.
See how that works?
Or reappear, very active on Twitter over the weekends, if he's correct. Kratzy, did you go with the parlay as well?
I did. I parlayed before I even knew that AJ was parlaying, but I was looking at the over-unders, and when we don't have as many games, I don't get so distracted. ADD doesn't kick in. So 2 teams that absolutely punch out enough for me to go with it. I'm going to go the Guardians versus the Twins with Pablo Lopez and Tanner Bybee, and you can buy down their strikeouts a little bit when you parlay it. Each of them are going to have 5 Ks tonight. 5 or more Ks, and that's paying at plus 110. And I'm putting all my money down. I'm going double or nothing tonight. No, I'm going 300.
What? Oh, I was like, whoa.
It's a bold play con because the Guardians don't strike out very much.
They don't strike out very much, but it's not very many punch-outs for Pablo Lopez either. They had him at like 6.5 is what their original number was. So I bought the number down to 5, so I'm enjoying it.
I'm just going to go plain and simple. Houston Astros taking a dub. The only thing I've been concerned about is I thought it's Framber Valdez.
Nope. You should ask me. I'm doing the game.
Who is it?
I'll pay your bet. I'll pay whatever your bet is if you can tell me who's pitching for the Astros tonight.
Is it the guy they're calling someone up?
Stanek.
It might be Joe Kelly.
Oh,
Joe Kelly getting traded.
Joe Kelly's getting traded.
Yeah, you know everything before we do. I got them on the run line, and Reed Detmers. He had the one big strikeout game like a week and change ago, but I watched his last start, and I think he's got a lot of adjusting to do. Astros coming off a tough loss to the Twins and a tough series. They've also, I think, been a little bit undervalued because they're just playing okay at home. I've got them pounding the baseball tonight.
Pitching.
Who's TBD?
So
I saw that, but wasn't it Framber's turn?
It was, but they moved him back a day. They moved everyone back a day to give him an extra day. Now, you know how hard it is to prepare for a game and you have no idea who's pitching?
I do.
You reach out to the Astros, who's pitching? We don't know. Well, you know. And we're stabbing the dark here. Blanco pitching.
We don't know, but
stab in the dark. We're guessing.
We're guessing it's Blanco.
We're hoping it's Blanco.
Okay.
Try doing a college game where you don't know either of the pitchers and both of them are names you've never heard of in your life. That's really difficult. You're not sure who's on the mound at all.
It's called homework, people. Got to do your homework.
I'm trying to do the homework, but if I don't know who's pitching,
you got to cram.
do homework.
They're going to tell us eventually, so cram for your test.
I am.
Get it done.
Wait till I talk to Dusty Baker and be like, who's pitching?
Exactly.
He's going to say, I don't know.
Hey, so just letting you know, the first bet offer is up there for you if you use the code SPICYBALL, and here's how you get it. Sign up and deposit into your newly created BetMGM Sportsbook account on the app on iOS or Android or BetMGM.com. You place your first bet offer and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if that first bet loses. And your bonus bets will be available once that wager is settled. Got to use the promo code SPICYBALL for the newbies. Always bet responsibly. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And it is time to say goodbye with some slap hands action, and also just reminding everyone, Friday show from the Borgata, or from Borgata, not the Borgata. Borgata.
It's in Jersey.
But theborgata.com. AJ's coming at some point. Let's slap hands. What'd you say? Ball.
He says it every day. It's not
a troll. I'm gonna save mine for tomorrow. So you go.
You're saving what?
I had a slap hands, but
you're saving it for tomorrow.
Yeah,
mine is Yuli Gurriel in the Padres Marlins game. Still has not touched home plate. I don't know if you guys saw this last night, but he scored the tying run in the game, and he did not touch home plate. Nobody reviewed it. Nobody called him out. Nothing, and they just like, oh, he missed home plate by like a couple inches. We'll just keep going. No big deal, MLB. And then here's the play. Watch, base hit. I don't know why the guy cut it. No one's covering home. No big deal. Cut. Oh, we're throwing it nobody, and he misses home plate. But we're just gonna let it go. Bob Melvin's over there just giving the old, just roll with it.
But no one caught it live.
It was close enough where somebody watch. This is pretty obvious right here.
You can also run back to touch the base. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
that's
but
still
no,
a rule.
he didn't either. He didn't do that either. And then the other thing is, I talked about it on Slap Hands yesterday. Gators national golf champions, J.C. Deacon, way to go! Cool, no, it's cool.
No, that's great.
It's cool. Yeah, they won last night.
Even
my wife who went to Florida State, I sucked her into watching
the golf championship.
John Dubois from First Academy.
Perfect. It's a really great way to keep the fan base going here strong towards the end of the show. And let's finish with Kratz hats.
So the hat that hasn't fit the whole day. Obviously, it's a Lou Gehrig number 4 hat. It was the hat of my neighbor's mother, Peg Buford, who succumbed to ALS, but it was a tribute. She saw that I wear the hats on the show, and with Sarah Langs coming on, she does a lot of stuff for ALS research. Gretchen does, Peg's daughter, and so she gave me her hat to wear on the show. So it's really, while it didn't fit my huge noggin of a head, it was something that was awesome and an honor, a treat to wear it.
That is awesome. Yeah, you're right. And as much fun as we have making fun of Kratz's massive dome, this is the perfect day for it. So, and we'll talk more about Lou Gehrig Day, and again, remind everyone about ways that you can contribute to what Sarah's raising money for. Sarah Langs on with us earlier for ALS research, the shirts, the stars, the whole thing. We'll go over that again on Friday. We're going to be in Atlantic City on Friday. Todd Father, Kratzy, myself. So if you're in town, swing by, say what's up. We're in the BetMGM Sportsbook bar. We'll be there. We'll see you then.
Wear that hat tomorrow. Make sure you wear that hat tomorrow.
He's got something
I'm gonna have the T-tops down. There's no way it's gonna stay on my head.
There you go. By the way, I'm playing in a poker tournament coming up. I'll talk about that a little bit with Jason Kipnis on Friday. Ken Rosenthal on Friday. Whit Merrifield on Friday's show with his own announcement to make on Foul Territory.
Oh, yes. The golf?
It is golf related. Stay tuned.
Don't break the news.
We will see you then.
Go do your call-in game, AJ.
Hello?
Can you hear
I'm
me?
watching a game.
Hello? Is anyone out there?